What is up, everybody? Today we're joined with one of my good friends, Jessica. I think we're going to have her more on the channel. We're just going to talk about the metaverse, what's going on in the market, and she'll tell you a little bit about herself. But after that, we're just going to keep this like normal video, and let us know in the comments if you want to see more of Jessica on the channel. So what's up, Jess?
Michael, thank you for having me. For those of you who don't know me, my name is Jessica. Good to meet you. I have been involved in the metaverse for 3 years now, and I'm working on a project right now in the metaverse. So I'm super excited to educate you guys on everything I've learned and keep you up to date on things that are happening.
Cool, cool. And also, you do a channel. We'll put the links down below for any of your channels so people can follow you on YouTube, Instagram, TikTok, wherever. But so right now, a couple of big things are happening in the market. You were telling me the other day about like the metaverse. And since the market's turning around a bit, I think it's important to talk about some coins and tokens that people are looking at. You know, should you just invest in one or invest in multiple? So right now, like for example, I was thinking, like, I always talk about investing in a lot of different projects rather than just one. What do you like? You were talking about that the same with me the other day, right?
Yeah, I think betting on the concept of the metaverse is better than betting on a specific metaverse. And that is because back in the dot-com bubble, there was a lot of different projects coming up, but the only ones that survived were normally not the ones at the very beginning. So I kind of going to think it's to me the same thing with the metaverse, where there's a lot of different projects coming on board right now. And once other metaverses understand what they can do better, there's like an unlimited amount of metaverses that can be made and built. So I think betting on one right now, it's really, really risky and really, really early. So betting on the concept of the metaverse or betting into a metaverse ETF, I think is a lot safer.
So they have metaverse ETFs. Like the main projects that I invest in right now that like I know about are like Sandbox, which we've talked about. There's like Axie Infinity, Decentraland. Like those are the ones that I do. But there's an ETF you said that people can invest in.
Yeah, so there's a few ETFs and like index funds for the metaverse, but one of them, Roundtail Investment, is basically an ETF that invests into the top performing metaverses, and it's publicly traded, so you can actually buy it on Robinhood. And it's just a safer investment because they do their own due diligence and research on the metaverses that are the top ones and kind of invest for you. So it's safer than you going yourself and trying to find the metaverse that is outperforming the other metaverses. They kind of manage that for you.
Yeah, so it sounds like they just pick all of the different companies to put inside of their ETF. Like they're actively
Right.
managing it.
So it's kind of
Cool.
like an index fund, like the S&P 500, where they pick the top 500 performing stocks and invest your money for you.
Cool. Cool. Yeah, like recently I've just been looking a lot at Sandbox and Axie Infinity and Decentraland because those are projects that everyone knows about and they've been doing really well. But the one problem I see with it is that right now we've seen like ever since Facebook changed their name to Meta, it's been just a rush into all these different metaverse cryptocurrencies and
Yeah.
everyone's just buying up all these. So we've seen them like explode. But so I think those are great long term. But I just like investing in all three of those and then like pick a couple of smaller ones because it's like you don't know, like you said, which one's going to do well. Like, you
Yeah,
don't
and I
know.
think another thing that it's not really talked about that much, but instead of just investing into the metaverse coins, I think it's important to find a way to actually make some revenue. So like creating a businesses in the metaverse is what I tell my clients. Because if
Mhm.
you're just investing in the coin, you're basically investing in that metaverse still being here in 10 years from now. But if you can create a business on that metaverse and create some revenue, you're not necessarily taking the risk of having it still be there in 10 years because you're getting revenue every month. So
Yeah,
like
it probably
making
won't be
you know,
around in 10 years, to be honest. Like, a
well,
lot of
that's
these
the thing.
won't
That's what
be
I tell
around.
everyone. Like, it's so, it's very, very risky right now. And I don't want to tell anyone, like, I'm very big on Decentraland and Sandbox myself, but I don't like telling other people because you just don't know if it's still going to be there in 10 years from now. So to mitigate your risk, I would say try to come up with a business that you can then generate some revenue from instead of just having the token and then expecting it to go up in 10 years.
Right. Or like, I guess investing in that ETF, which is like actively managed because they'll worry about picking all the different ones in there. But
Right. Unless you're doing this full time and you're like, I'm a full time metaverse investor, and every single day you're like doing all the analytics for all the companies and the new metaverses, I would say it's probably safer just to put it in an actively managed ETF.
yeah. Yeah, I agree. It's just right now, everyone like talks about all these are different like games essentially. Right now, it's just like games. Like what you've talked about with me, what we've talked about is like going in virtual reality, going into the metaverse, and going to different shops or businesses in the metaverse. But right now, they're just like pixelated games where you
Yeah.
just go and it's just like Fortnite or like Minecraft or like any video game, which they come and go all the time.
Right. So right now, the big percentage of people that are in the metaverses are gamers, and that's why you see all these games. So my vision for the metaverse is very futuristic because I know there's going to be businesses that are operating and making a lot of money in the metaverse. The only reason it's not really happening now is because we haven't taken the audience that isn't gamers and brought them into the metaverse just yet. And the reason for that is because the technology just isn't there. Much like right now, me and you could go on our phone and go on Instagram. You can't really go on your phone and go on the metaverse. You have to actually be at home on your smart computer or whatever it is. So the second that we actually have the technology that allows you to be on your phone, we can then grab the everyday person that's on Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, and then you have businesses that you can create because you have the audience.
Yeah, there's always like it's called like a adoption life cycle where like at the beginning it's like the early adopters, the people who are like really into the tech, but then it takes a big step to get into more mass adoption, and I think that's really what we're seeing now. It's just the real tech people who are into gaming.
Yeah.
They have access to it. Maybe they even have virtual reality headsets, but vast majority of people
Right.
still don't really.
Right. So it's going to take the technology innovating in order to get the broad audience into there. Once you get the broad audience, then you can generate businesses. I'm not necessarily a gamer, so I'm really big on like the futuristic metaverse where you can actually take like your real life real estate agency and put it into the digital world. And instead of doing showings in the real world, you could do showings in like a virtual world. So that's what
Very
I'm
cool.
big on is like the fact that I know there's going to be businesses that are operating in the physical world that can then take them and find a way to sell their items in the digital world.
I didn't even think about that, really. Yeah, it's like with Facebook. I don't know if you saw, like maybe or maybe not, but Mark Zuckerberg when they said that they were renaming themselves from Facebook to Meta, he showed like a video clip of him just like looking around in his like house and then like being transformed into like a digital world, like, and he just looked around and he was in a digital world. So that seems to be like where the money's going to be made in the future is with, like you said, integrating your business into
Yeah.
like the digital world.
And once
So
we have like the biggest thing is we need to have the tools, which I think, if I'm not mistaken, Elon Musk is like trying to create a chip that you can implement in your head. And
yeah,
they're
yeah.
also working on like
I don't know if I want the chip.
what's that?
I don't know if I want the chip right now in my brain.
Okay, I know that's like very like scary to think about. And I was just talking to someone else about this. They're like, it really feels like Black Mirror. And I'm like, there's honestly already like wristbands that you can wear. There's this one episode in Black Mirror, and it's called like Record Yourself or like
Yeah.
Record. And they already have like wristbands that are actively like recording all the time and like record everything around you. So, and they also have, it's really scary, but Samsung has like contact lenses that they're like trying to create right now that actually can record. So,
Yeah, I've seen something like that. Like I've seen people, I think Mark Zuckerberg, and in an interview, he was asked about when could you just wear like contact lenses that are going to be like the same as a virtual reality headset. It's still a bit away, but that's why I think it's so important, because all these games are probably not going to be here 10 years from now. It's not like you can't make money on them now. I think people are going to make a lot of money, but just 10 years from now, you might have the lenses.
Yeah, and that's why I tell everyone, if you want to actively trade, there's so much money to be made, but I don't like to advise people on that only because, you don't know for certain, it's very risky to make money and try to bet on like the short-term metaverses. So for the long term, I would say understand the concept and bet on things that are betting on the concept and not just like a singular metaverse. And like you said,
That's
like
what
gaming.
important.
What's
Yeah.
that?
I think that's really important. Same with like
Yeah, and
cryptos in general.
I don't think the gaming aspect, I think it's huge right now, like the play to earn and the gaming, but there's only so many people that are like actively going on playing games.
Like I'm not
Most
playing
like
any of the games.
yeah, and like the everyday person, like the broader audience is like me and you, and like we can create businesses in the metaverse, and I think that will be bigger than just going on there and playing games. Like once you have like the social media influencers in the metaverse, because there's a lot of people making a lot of money in like creating YouTube content, Instagram. Once you have these people in the metaverse, then you can have like actual corporations making money from this, not just like gaming companies.
Yeah. So one thing I saw was Kathy Wood. We've talked about her previously, but she came out the other day and said how she thinks the metaverse, like industry total, is going to be like a multi-trillion-dollar industry in the future. And then there's a couple of reports I read from it's called Grayscale.
Yeah.
They have like the Bitcoin ETF. They also said that they think the metaverse is going to be a multi-trillion-dollar industry, but it just takes time for all these different companies to grow and build their business in the metaverse.
I mean, it's happening a lot quicker than people think. Like, I
Yeah.
started talking about Decentraland 3 years ago, and I was a huge advocate for it. And all of a sudden, people are coming to me now because Facebook changed their name to Meta, and people are becoming more informed. And they're like, wait a second, there's a lot of potential here, which there's always like been potential, but it's just happening a lot quicker now. The fact that like Adidas and Nike and Domino's already have parcels in Decentraland, like I think when things are going to start to change is when you can actually order food in the metaverse. Like there's a Domino's parcel there. So the second that you can actually order food and it can actually get sent to your real house, let's say Uber Eats or Postmates like partners with the metaverse, that's going to be huge. I think that's going to really.
So you're saying like you're in like the virtual like metaverse, you're like using like a VR headset or whatever, you walk in somewhere, you want to order it, and then it gets sent to your house.
Right. So instead of like
That's
me and
pretty
you
cool.
FaceTiming, like, hey, let's have a FaceTime and catch up. I haven't seen you in a while. We could be like, hey,
Right.
let's meet in the metaverse. You don't live next to me, so the metaverse is
Right.
the best thing compared to FaceTime. And we can actually sit there together and chat and order food and be eating the same food and feel like we're
Oh.
actually at a restaurant together.
That's pretty cool. I didn't even think about that. I saw like the video clip in the Facebook advertisement when Mark Zuckerberg was talking about it. They like were all in a room just sitting with people from different places. But then if
Yeah.
you could integrate like sending actual items as well, that
Yeah,
would be
yeah. And I mean, it's not far off. Like Domino's already has a parcel there, and I might be wrong, but I don't think I'm wrong. They're trying to work on getting it to where you can actually order from the Domino's in Decentraland and it actually gets sent to your real house. It's not that far off. Like technology is innovating at a very fast rate right now. So I don't see it being more than a couple years off from that happening.
Yeah, and I think all of these are way better bets than investing in just NFTs, because right now NFTs are just like images. And it's like, yeah, like there's a community behind it and maybe you can go to some events, but like the metaverse is a much bigger deal than just just a picture of like a CryptoPunk or like an ape, in my opinion at least. Like it's a big space, but I think this is like a whole new level.
Yeah, and I think
that.
we talked about this before. NFTs, there's a lot of NFTs that don't actually have like utilization value.
Right.
So this is why I'm really big on real estate in the metaverse, because you can actually generate a business on that parcel and get some revenue. With the NFTs, first of all,
like
they're
practical
really,
use cases.
yeah, they're really oversaturated right now, first and foremost. And second of all, there's not a lot of utilization factors to them. There are some, I mean, you can create an NFT and say like whoever has this NFT gets to go to Beyonce's concert or go to this VIP room. But
Right.
the majority of NFTs don't actually have utilization factors. So I would warn people when you're purchasing NFTs, I'm not big on minting or purchasing NFTs, but if you're
Right.
going to, try to understand what the future value could be or what kind of utilization value you're like buying into instead of just buying a useless NFT.
Yeah, I agree. And like 99% of them are probably going to be worthless 10 years from now. Because, like, I mean, maybe, like, the original ones are going to be, like, CryptoPunks might always be around. And, like, Gary Vee's collection, I'm sure his will always be around. But the other ones, it's going to be really hard. Especially because you can connect NFTs to, like, contracts. You can make an NFT that represents, like, the deed to your house, or like
Right.
the title to your car, and those are going to be way more useful than just a picture of a monkey.
Right. So everyone has the right idea, they have the right concept, but they're not actually using it to create a lot of real value right now. They actually haven't connected real life things to it. There's some of them that have, but a majority of
Right.
them haven't connected the real life to it, which doesn't give it the utilization value that it should. And I
Yeah.
think like going into it, understanding that first and foremost, if you're buying an NFT, make sure it's either from someone that's well known or a company or something that's going to hold value in 5 years from now. Because if you're buying an NFT from a guy in, no offense, but like a guy from Ohio that's just like minting this NFT that has nothing to his name in
And it's
10
just a
years
cool
from
picture of a
now,
dog or
yeah, unless
whatever.
he's like a huge guy in 10 years from now, no one's going to want to like buy that from you, even though
They'll
it,
be like, that's
let's say,
cute, that's nice, it's a nice picture,
yeah.
but what else?
And people are giving these NFTs value because they're like, well, it recently sold for 6,000 and now it's on sale for 4,000. But I'm like, but look into the history. Like, does it actually have
Right.
value, or is it just like this weird trading value that people are assuming it has value on?
Yeah. No, I agree with that. That's why I think the metaverse is so much bigger, because even for some of these projects, they all talk, everyone I read about, they're always saying, we're going to build a game. We're going to build this game that uses all of our, like, let's say, monkey NFTs, like the apes. We're going to build a game that then you could use that character. It's like, well, they haven't built a game yet. And
Yeah.
anyone could say they're going to build a game, but it's like, you don't know what's going to happen. So like for me, at least with NFTs right now, there are a couple projects where it's like they have actual video games that are working. Like short term, those are going to be great. But like long term, I still think like metaverse in general, virtual reality is better. If you're just like, where can I put my money for 10 years and not worry about it? It would be like one of those ETFs for the metaverse that you said, or
Right.
just something that represents the overall market rather than just picking a game.
Right. Or in
So,
the meantime, I would suggest coming up with a business that you can actually create revenue from in the metaverse. So there's like casinos, there's art galleries, there's concert arenas. So if you can be creative and put a business in Decentraland and generate some revenue, it won't really matter if Decentraland is still there in 15 years from now because you've already made your revenue
made
base
right.
of income after that.
And you could pivot. And the one thing I've seen right now is pretty interesting. People, so all these games, you have to like, for Axie Infinity and for a couple of the games, you have to like purchase NFTs to be able to play the games. So there's some businesses that I've seen where like there's companies that purchase the NFTs, loan them out to people and say, oh, you could play these games and generate revenue for us. And it's like, we get a portion of the revenue and you get a portion of the revenue. Because that's like a big
Yeah.
problem with some of these games is you need to pay $2,000 to get the NFT to even have access to it. So that's
Right.
a
It's
cool
called
idea also, I
staking,
feel like.
isn't it? Where they stake.
Yeah, no, that's like something different. But these are just like you need to own like that figurine, that NFT, that character before you could even get into the game. It's like that's the character you use in the game. For example, there's a game I talked about called on the channel called Soul Chicks, SOLCHICKS, and with that game, you have to like have an NFT. You have to have a character, like your own little like bird. They look like birds before you could even play the game. So if you don't have $1,000 or $2,000 or whatever the price is at the time, you can't even play the game. So it becomes a problem for people who want to play and maybe can, these are all about like earning money, but then they don't even have the funds to do that in the first place. So
Right.
that's like an idea.
Are
Yeah.
those the play to earn games that you're talking about when
Yeah.
they put, oh, okay, right.
Yeah,
Yeah,
like
I
they're
mean, I
play to
think there's
earn.
there's a lot of like you can find some value in the play to earn games, but again, when you have something like this where everyone's talking about it, you're going to have a lot of like companies that are trying to scam you or really don't have the best motives. So it's just
Yeah,
to be really careful when getting into stuff like that right now.
100%. Yeah. But I feel like we talked about a lot. I feel like, what are we at? Yeah, I feel like we've covered a lot just with the metaverse, some projects. Do you have anything else? I feel like we're pretty good, right?
Yeah, the only thing I kind of wanted to talk about, I don't know if we have time,
Yeah.
but like Ethereum versus Solana and like
Oh,
what
yeah,
your
yeah, yeah.
thoughts on
Let's
that
do
are.
it. So what do you think about Ethereum and Solana? What are your thoughts? I know mine. I think everyone else knows mine, but what are your
Okay.
thoughts?
Okay, so I think it all depends on like Ethereum 2.0 and how that's going to
Like
evolve.
roll out and how that implements.
Yeah. because they have like the projected like what it's going to look like, but
Right.
obviously you can't just be like this is what it's going to look like. You actually have to see how it's functioning. But right now I still think like there's a lot more metaverses on the Ethereum, like created on the Ethereum chain.
Blockchain. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So
so right now it's like Ethereum. The big problems that I see with Ethereum is that every time someone makes a transaction on Ethereum, if you buy an NFT or you do something, it costs like there's these gas fees, which cost a lot of money. Like it could be like $100 for one transaction or $200 for one transaction. And like what you said with Ethereum 2.0, they're trying to fix that, but we don't know really how is that going to play out, because if Ethereum continues to get bigger, it's still going to make it more expensive. So yeah, I think Solana, in my opinion, has some advantages there. Like Ethereum has more people using it, but at some point, people are going to get fed up with all those fees and all of the additional costs to it. Versus Solana, which is a little bit more efficient, doesn't have all those additional fees.
right, but when you try to make something quicker, you kind of give up like the safety of it in a way.
Right.
So
Yeah.
because I was just reading about this, like I don't know if you know about
For
like the
Solana.
nodes. Yeah, like the nodes that they have
Yeah.
to like commute
Yeah, I'm
to
not a
when
big
they're
technical person with like the whole. I'm not like a coder,
yeah,
but
yeah. I'm not either. But I was just reading about this and it was just making sense where it's like, okay, Ethereum 2.0 has a lot less nodes that it has to like
it's like called they're like validators on the network. There's like
yeah, so
more validators on Ethereum, which makes it like more secure and like
right.
yeah.
Right, that's what I was reading. So that's why Solana is quicker because it doesn't have to communicate with as many nodes, but it
Yeah.
kind of like makes the risk a little bit higher
Yeah, they've
for
had a couple issues this past year where they were like had to restart everything because of like some issues there. But yeah, I mean, I
I
feel
mean,
like
I
that's
think it comes
normal.
down to like, would you rather be quicker or safer? And I think the majority of people, I mean, we're getting into crypto because it's like safer, right? It's decentralized and,
Hmm.
we feel like we kind of own what we're putting our money into. So when you have something like Solana that has more of a risk, I think it kind of like goes against the whole point of this. But it is quicker and people like quick things.
Right,
So
it's quicker and cheaper, but yeah,
yeah.
there are risks associated with it. But it's like all about that long-term thing we talked about later. Like even with these projects, it's like me personally, I don't invest in just one. If I see a couple that are like they're called layer one, so like ecosystems, like I try and invest in a lot of them because it's like you don't know if Ethereum
Right.
is going to end up being the main choice. You don't know if Solana is, but it's like best to just stay diversified and invest in like multiple. In if you pick one winner, well, that'll make up for all the losses with the other ones.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah,
So
it is a huge risk right now. Okay.
okay, well, I feel like that's pretty. We covered a lot today. Everyone in the comments down below, let us know if you want Jessica back more. She's gonna probably be here either way, but make
Okay,
sure to
be
check
nice
out
to
her.
me though.
Yeah. They'll be nice. And we'll check. We'll put any links to her channels and her Instagram and all of that down below. So check those out. But hope you guys enjoyed today's video. Jessica, you have any last thoughts? Anything?
No, Michael, it's been a pleasure, and I can't wait to talk more about the metaverse and can't wait to see where the future is going with this. I'm really excited about it.
Yep, me too. Okay. See you guys. I'll see you guys tomorrow for another episode. See ya.